Hello everybody and welcome. This video series that I'm going to start, this isn't actually the beginning video, this is kind of an overview as to what you can expect to see throughout this entire series. And it's going to be one of those ones that's kind of, it's definitely going to be flexible and modular and stuff like that, because of the fact that I'm going to be asking people for their feedback and stuff like that in the direction I should be taking the series. So I'm going to start off from the get-go at a very, very low level, very basic level of understanding. So realistically, you could come in as a person that knows nothing about routing. You don't know what a router is, you don't know what a router does. I'm going to take you from the Network Plus level. So I'm going to explain what a router does, how it does it. So because I think that's an important feature. I deal with people all the time when I'm consulting, or whether I'm at my day job. I consult part-time outside of work, and I talk to people all the time that don't have a clue as to what half of the stuff is. CEOs, vice presidents, chairmen of the board. They don't know any of this stuff. They're business minded. They're always worried about how they're going to get the next customer in the building and how they're going to make their next buck, how their next sale is going to work. They don't care, or at least they don't spend much time at all. I shouldn't say they don't care, but they don't spend much time at all going through the technical side of it. They bring people like me, potentially you, and other people that I work with in to do this job. So what validates my skills is being able to take a concept and a practical experience, be able to take the theory, put it into easy to understand content, and then deliver that to the person. When I start teaching a series, I assume you know zero about that particular topic. You might be a quadruple CCIE with 25 years of experience. I don't know that. I'm going to treat everybody and every video series from start to finish. I start you off assuming you know nothing about what's going on, and then I walk you step by step through how everything works. Because I found a lot of video training that I've seen out there, and this is on different vendors. Some are a little better at getting you to where they want you, to where the certification, if that's what you're in for, goes, or whatever the case might be. I found a lot of video series. One in particular, I'm studying for VMware, learning VMware because I support servers at work. We'd like to go to virtualization eventually. So I'm studying VMware and how to get different types of Microsoft servers up and running, and different feature sets and different roles and services that Microsoft has to offer. And I can tell you one thing, it's extremely daunting for me being a network person. Not only am I an engineer and a consultant, but I'm also somebody that's enthusiastic about the technology. So it's kind of difficult for me when I come from a non-server background. I don't do servers very much. It's not something I've spent a ton of time learning. There's guys out there that's all they do is server support, and it's not me. I make sure that the servers can talk to the end users. That's my thing. But realistically, when it comes down to it, they're talking about getting a SQL server and a WSUS server and a Server 2008 Active Directory domain controller. All these different servers into VMware, into the vSphere client, and I can't even get vSphere to see SQL. It's the struggle I have right now. But I'm not bending over backwards trying to figure it out, because it's not something that is precedent or pressing in my career path. It's one of those things that I'm taking step by step, thoroughly researching things so that I can make a smart decision down the road. That's ultimately what engineers do. They take a potential issue, and then they look at all the little working pieces of it. Then they start figuring out, okay, what's a solution I can throw with this, and this. So realistically, it could take me 3 months to figure out how to fix a problem. Is that long and drawn out? It could be. But if you make all the right choices in the beginning, you're that much better off at the end. So that's where I'm taking these video series. I'm taking them from an approach where you know nothing. So I will show you, at least in my experience, how to get to where it is you want to go. So that's why I say we're going to say, what is IP routing? Explain what an IP address is, what's a subnet mask, what's the default gateway. So I'm bringing you in with less than a CCENT understanding. Notice how I brought this in, where I've labeled the stuff out. Oh, that's not going to work out for you. I've starting at what is IP routing? What's a static route? What's a dynamic route? We're starting at network plus level, which is below CCENT in my opinion. And you might be thinking, well, I think that's equivalent to it. Well, it might be equivalent to it, but I'm assuming you know nothing about what a router does, what routing is. And so the premise behind this video series, which is going to be released on a every few videos, I guess, as I go through each protocol and explain how it works and go through and set it up and get everything running. But realistically, it's one of those things where when you're going through these things, or through these videos, you're going to find out what routing is all about, what a routed protocol is versus a routing protocol. We're going to get into RIP and just get it to work. We're just going to get it to work. We're going to do some debugs, make sure that I thoroughly explain it. So I'll be reviewing the RFC, I'll look through videos that I've got, I'll look through some training that I have, and see what else it is I might be missing that I can throw into a video and explain something. Ultimately, there's not a lot. Realistically, there is not a lot of stuff that's going to be able to be tossed in for RIP and RIP version 2, or GRE, or tunneling. I mean, there are several different tunneling types, like you can get GRE or IP and IP, then there's L2TP v3. But I don't want to overwhelm you with just acronyms and things like that, just initials. The idea behind it is to give you an idea of what's out there. You might not know what GRE is. I didn't when I first heard about it. I was like, what the heck is that? I thought it was GRE, really. And then I found out that there's certain aspects of different types of tunnels that don't support certain things, and you have to implement one thing to support another. So it's one of those things that when you're going through, we're going to discuss how this stuff works in detail. We're going to configure it. And some of the stuff like tunneling and GRE and IP, we'll do some VPN stuff. So we'll use IPsec, which is a very, very common protocol out on the internet today for VPNs. So we'll explain IPsec, the different aspects of it. I'm not a securities expert. I know a lot about security because I have to deal with it in my day job and in consulting. But realistically, the idea behind all this stuff is to get you from point A to point B the quickest. And sometimes the quickest way to get there is the slow road. And you might be going the slow road. Who wants to take the slow road? Well, the slow road sometimes is the best way to go because it gives you a breakdown. So when I go through and I'm starting to explain, say, EIGRP, well, you start at the CCENT level. I tell you what GRE is, or GRE, what EIGRP is, what type of protocol it is, how it works. I break down the packet format. And realistically, I'm studying for my CCIE, and I feel like I'm at the CCNP level with the majority of the stuff that's on your screen. I have my CCNA, and I'm working steadily towards my CCNP. I have the exam coming up at the end of this month for my route exam, and this stuff right here is supposed to propel you into that level. So as you're going through this is supposed to be a supplement video, or supplement videos, I should say, for anybody that's studying for certification, or they don't get what EIGRP is. Maybe you don't understand why it's such a popular protocol. Now, a lot of the videos that we're gonna do, I'm gonna be using a lot of slides that are pre-built. If you've never heard of, and I'll draw it out for you here real quick, just so you guys can see it. Cisco Live 365. What Cisco Live 365 is, it is an online YouTube version of Cisco. And what they've done with Cisco Live 365 is they created a website where they have all of massive amounts of videos covering all kinds of topics, from routing to security to data center to service provider to God, I can't even think of all the different things that they cover. Switching, Ethernet, and then they talk about wireless and wired, 4G, LTE, 3G, all these different protocols that are out there, and all the different technologies. And they go into detail. They start off, depending on the type of the breakout session you get into, they have tons, like literally thousands of videos on this website. And so what I do is, if I want to know something about a particular something, in this case EIGRP, I wanted to know more about it. Well, Cisco developed it. They took already existing technologies, they wrapped it all into one big package, put a bow on it, sent it down the river, and they call that EIGRP. So the idea behind EIGRP was a direct competition with OSPF and an enhancement to IGRP. So IGRP was the internal gateway routing protocol. EIGRP is the enhanced interior gateway routing protocol. They both have the same exact type of calculation. The difference between the two is one is able to scale and is classless, where the other one is class full and doesn't scale very well. But this isn't a technology video. This video is more of an informational, hey, what we're going to cover. So if you really want to know routing and you're studying for Cisco exams, or you're studying for actually any exam this is applicable to, I'm using Cisco equipment just to give you an idea of what's out there, because that's all I have access to. I don't have access to Juniper or Brocade or any of the other vendors that are out there. So I'm taking the information that I know about from my studies as a CCENT, earning my CCNA, and then obviously my CCNP studies. I'm pretty good with the majority of everything that's in here. And if you don't know what you're looking at, this is going to be the topology we work with. I just built this inside of GNS3, so I'll jot down some resourceful information for you, just so you guys can have it. The application that I use to run the routers is called GNS3. GNS3 is a graphical emulation software that allows you to take real Cisco iOS and take an iOS image that normally would run on a router, kind of like the same thing as you taking Windows 7, installing it on a hard drive, plugging it into a computer, and now you're running Windows 7, the Microsoft platform. Where GNS3 takes the Cisco iOS, which is the Internet Working Operating System, and it allows you to put it onto a computer, and each one of these routers that you see here, R4, R1, and so on and so forth, they're actually a virtual router. So it takes the hardware of the computer, so the RAM, the CPU, the processing power, that type of stuff, and it allows you to use the computer's hardware to run the software. Now there are some tweaks and stuff like that, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into, and I've actually released an entire video on how to get GNS3 up and running from start to finish, and how to get the frame relay switch in here up and running. So I'm going to do when I do dynamic routing and getting routing itself, I'll do a quick frame relay video just so you guys know how to get it up and running. So if you're going to mock this up and get it up and situated, you can do that as well. So it emulates hardware. That's actually what GNS3 does. So emulate means it takes hardware that it's already that it's sitting on, and then it utilizes the resources available that are left over to run something else. So if you've ever heard of VMware or Microsoft's Hyper-V or VirtualBox or Virtual PC or any of these virtualization, where you take and think of GNS3, if you have any idea what VMware is, and taking GNS3 is the abstraction layer. So it's going to be VMware for routing. So it takes the iOS, which is going to be the operating system that you want to install and run a server with. GNS3 is the middleman between the computer's hardware and the actual operating system. So it allows you to run multiple devices on one platform. So, or in other words, multiple copies of the same operating system on the same device, so you can have multiple servers running. In this case, multiple virtual routers. So I've actually got a Blade server from work that I've loaded ESXi on, and I've been toying around with vSphere and trying to get that running. And I mean, it's up and running, it works. I've got a couple servers in there, but I'm working getting on some other stuff in there and working. But that's GNS3. Now The company that I'm not mocking, I'm actually borrowing their topology with a few minor tweaks to it, is INE. This is Internetwork Expert Network. INE.com, InternetworkExpert.com, is they're a online vendor for all things Cisco. So if you are studying for Cisco certification and you want to know more about coming in and getting into Cisco and you want to know more about it, these guys, which are they're top of their game. They're all CCIEs, which not to get into Cisco certification, but is going to be like the PhD of networking. It takes a long time to become that, which is what I'm aspiring to be and studying for. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, so that I'm taking everything that I could possibly think of that's going to be on the CCIE and deep diving into it for routing. Now, a couple things that I don't have on here is, one is multicast. I don't have any multicast on here. I don't have any quality of service. I don't have any security. We will walk through like routing protocol security and authentication, and we'll do some VPN tunnels. Explain how we'll do an IPsec VPN between some devices, and then we'll throw GRE over IPsec just to give you an idea as to what's going on. So GNS3 is the application that I'm running in order to facilitate all this learning, which it's running right here. So if I click on this router 4 right here, which is this guy, and I do a show IP interface brief, I have devices here, and I can actually ping to another device, 155.1.146.6. So I can ping to other devices on my network. And I pinged router 6 and router 1. So traffic is hitting the switch and then going to router 1 and coming back to router 4. So just to give you an idea as to how it works and stuff like that. Like I said, this series is going to be very modular. It's going to be very moldable depending on where it goes. So as I release videos and get feedback, feel free to absolutely send me email as to what you think might be going on, what you would like to see covered, something specific that I could do, or anything like that. These are going to be, it's pretty much, it really is protocol specific technologies, and realistically I want to cover it in such a way that it's going to incorporate a lot. So realistically, when I'm going through these videos, you could very easily, when I say right here CCENT or CCNP level with IPv4, that's going to be pretty much everything that's not IPv6. So all of this stuff right here is going to be IPv4. This guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, so on and so forth. But like I said, the idea behind this is to bring you up to speed as to how you could actually use it. So we're not going to do anything super crazy like dynamic multi-point VPNs. We're not going to do anything crazy like that. Not that that's a crazy technology, I just don't know how to deal with it. So what we're going to do is we are going to run through several scenarios. So we'll go in, we'll configure this stuff, then I'll break it. And then I'll see how, I'll quiz you, I'll give you like a scenario. Okay, it's not working. So there will be definitely a troubleshooting aspect to this when we get farther along. And we're going to put in here, troubleshoot all of it. Because let's assume that you are a certification candidate and you are studying for certification and you just happen to use my videos as a supplement to get you there. Well, what's going to end up happening is, as you're going through, as you're learning EIGRP and you understand that what it does and how it works with other things. Oh, another one I'm thinking about it, things are jarring my mind, is redistribution. I'll go into the extreme detail on how redistribution works, and actually get some stuff going where I have OSPF running in one area, EIGRP running in somewhere else, BGP going across. So realistically, I could have every routing protocol you see here in here, no problem, all day long. It's what they call a multi-protocol environment, or an MPE. I just made the MPE part up. It's not actually called MPE. So as a recap, what we're going to do, like I mentioned earlier in this video, is we're going to walk through protocol after protocol after protocol, and we're going to walk through up to a CCNP level. Now, I say CCNP level because realistically, when you're at the CCNP level, there's not a whole lot you can't do, but there is a few things you can't do. And honestly, I'm going to take you as far as I can go. So, I'm not a CCIE. I'm going to use a lot of this stuff to see how far I really am. And I'm going to compare it to the... I've actually went out and I bought INE's workbooks for the CCIE. And I'm going to be buying some equipment here in the next few days that's going to allow me to do something similar to this. So, I'm probably going to do this start off in GNS3 and then finish off on live equipment. I don't know yet, but the idea behind this is to facilitate myself being able to pass the CCNP, and as I'm going through this section, I'll have one on my YouTube channel that'll say, because right now I've got it set up to where I have ICND 1, ICND 2. I'm actually uploading the ICND 2 videos as you can see. I've got 7 of 27 uploaded. I've got 38 videos inside of ICND 1, and yes, I recorded every video. I do all the recordings. There's the content is all stuff that I know how to do. I walk you through step by step. If you're studying for certification, it's great because then I also walk you through there's some CCNA stuff in here that's gonna a lot of recap, a lot of different variations of stuff that I have on my YouTube channel that allows you to see what's going on. And CCNP route, I walk you through how it actually works and how to configure and install GNS3. I get a lot of hits on this one, obviously. And then CCNP switch, I walk through the complete adoption of how switching works. And then, obviously, some other things. But the primary preference and idea behind this, and I just downloaded the latest GNS3 file, like I said, is to facilitate learning. So I don't get paid for any of this stuff. I don't put advertisements in the beginning of my videos. They are all fired up and away they go. I don't believe in the whole trying to get things to work a certain way. Oh, and just an FYI, that's not actually the topology I ended up going with. It was something similar but different. So don't be concerned about that. But for the most part, we have this topology that we're going to run with, and I would highly recommend that if you want to know more, look into GNS3, look at INE.com, send me an email if you're so inclined, because that'll definitely be a way for you to keep up with me, give me some feedback. Let me know what it is you think you need to see or what you'd like to see or whatever the case might be. Because realistically, I can only cover what I think it needs to be covered. Because I'm going to look through the blueprints for the CCNA, the CCNP, and I should say the CCENT, the CCNA, and the CCNP. I'm going to look at the blueprint. I'm going to kind of collapse them all together and create the slides based on that. And then incorporate that. So as we get through this, I've already done this quite a few times, so it's actually becoming repetition for me, which is good. It's good for me to repeat the stuff and teach it, and then I can point things out. So as I'm going through and showing you how to troubleshoot it, and how to redistribute it, and how to implement it, and how to verify it, these are all things that are going to help me in the real world as I grow stronger in my career, which hopefully in the next couple of months I'll be a CCNP. And then beyond that, once we cover through everything at the CCNP level, then if I need to, I'll add in videos to that particular section at the CCIE level. So it's going to be a growing series all around the block, because realistically there's no reason for me to stop at a certain place, because technically there's so much to learn about these protocols. I don't think one person can cover every possible aspect of it. My goal is to walk through. If I see a particular feature, I'll look it up, see what it does. then I'll see where it incorporates. Because just knowing how to type in the option underneath the protocol, or the feature underneath the protocol, it may not be as beneficial as if you know where to use it in the topology, where to use it in the diagram, how it's going to affect other parts of the network. So, like, for instance, EIGRP, the way that it works when it loses a route is it sends out a thing called a query packet to all things on the network. And that query packet goes everywhere. Well, if you have a router that's just hanging out over here, and he doesn't connect to anything but R6 and R3, there's no reason for him to receive a query saying, hey, do you know how to get to this network? When he uses those same routers that sent him the query, he uses them to get off of the network to somewhere else. So how is he going to know how to get there? So they have this thing called a stub feature, S-T-U-B. And that stub feature allows him to say, hey, I'm just kind of hanging out here. I use you guys for transit. Nobody else uses me for transit. So there's no reason for you to send me questions about somebody else's route. Make sense? So we'll walk through how this all works and in detail, and live command line demonstrations. If you have a question, feel free to hit me up. I am more than willing and able to answer questions. If I don't know something, I will do my darndest to find out an answer for you, because realistically that's what it's all about. It's being able to facilitate your understanding of something. So that's pretty much it. I hope this has been informative for you. I'd like to thank you for viewing.